Hello, good evening, and welcome in to State of the Tigers here on PowerMizzou.com. Appreciate you guys joining us. Different night. Last night, we know you were all hanging out in front of your television watching Mizzou and Prairie View A&M basketball. If nothing else, to figure out what Prairie View A&M was. And the answer was not particularly good at basketball. But we moved the show back a day for that. So we're here on Tuesday night. We're going to bring Cody Goodwin in a second. But before we do that, he only gets to be on for the James Carlton ad once he signs up with James Carlton for insurance. Otherwise, we make him wait. So Drew King and I have already done that. We encourage you guys to do that. Get in touch with James Carlton at carltoninsurance.net. You can give him a call at 314-961-4800. He just wants to give you a quote and maybe make a little bit of a contribution to Mizzou's NIL funds. Not that that's a thing we're going to be talking about at all tonight, Cody.
I figured we would be talking about like tracking airplanes and like how much funding we have in our NIL fund. Like, I don't know. But then Drink kind of stole the show at the press conference today. So maybe we should probably discuss some of that.
Yeah, we'll get, the plane tracking, we'll wait a couple weeks. Hopefully we won't have to do much of it, but we will see. So do you want to start with the few minutes of the football stuff, or do you just want to go into all the other stuff?
Let's just jump into the rest of it. Like, I'm not sure how many people are actually here ready to listen what else we learned from the Mississippi State game. I think most people want us to hear us dissect what Drink said today.
Yeah. Do we need to talk about first whether he is sending a sign by not having a Missouri logo on his shirt at the press conference? Because that is a hot topic today.
I'll be honest, I actually did not realize that, and now I'm like rushing to check because I always post a picture before the press conference starts. He didn't. It was just a plain black sweatshirt. I did not realize that.
The minute he walked in, I thought, oh no, they're going to say something about how he doesn't have a Mizzou shirt on today. And I want to be clear, I do not think it's a big deal, but trust me, it was noticed. All right. So I don't know. And guys, appreciate comments, questions, throw them in the chat and we will get to them throughout the show for sure. Just first impression walking out of the press conference today. What did you think?
I had a lot of thoughts, but I think the prevailing one was that he does not talk like this often. Like, he is not always this openly candid. Like, he'll kind of play some games. He'll gamesmanship a little bit, I guess, because most of the time where they're talking about injuries or asking about specific scheme and stuff, or, what do you think of the opposing player? And he led off with this from the jump because, obviously Tom Hart mentioned it on the broadcast, on the SEC Network broadcast, that they had a discussion about like, hey, what's it going to take to get over the top after the loss to Texas A&M. He went on Tiger Talk, talking Drinkwitz now. He went on Tiger Talk and talked about how the jump from good to great is the hardest jump. It's also the next jump, I think, for Missouri as a program. And so for him to come out today and basically elaborate a little bit more on the fact that he loves it in Columbia, his family loves it here, he loves what they're building here at Missouri. And then he goes on to lay out more or less exactly what he feels like he needs in order to, best position the program to make the jump, that next jump from good to great, I thought was really intriguing. And so for him to be that upfront and that candid about it, it kind of, all of us sitting in the front row, we were all kind of like, all right, like we're all going to sit up on our seats and listen to this for a little bit. Right. And I'll give him credit. He didn't really evade a lot of those questions. When we asked him a couple questions about Bo, he was maybe a little bit more forthcoming, but, still kind of doing the whole Drink thing where he can be not evasive, but play a little coy, maybe, so to speak, not give us an out direct answer. But for him to be as direct as he was, addressing those comments that were made during the broadcast and answering all the questions that we had for him just about like, what does that mean? What does it take? What do you mean by this? Can you clarify this? I thought that was pretty interesting. And I guess what I'm more curious about now is like, what comes of this? Like, what action is spurred because of the comments that he made? That also intrigues me now moving forward.
Okay, so my first thought was I have known Eli Drinkwitz long enough and covered him long enough. Nothing he says is by accident. like those comments to Tom Hart, that was not, it briefly occurred to me. I wonder if he didn't quite know Tom was going to say that on the broadcast. And that's, I love Tom. Like, I think Tom's great at his job, and that is in no way a shot at Tom. But like when I first heard it, I thought, I wonder if that was just kind of chatting and he didn't know. But then the more I thought about it, like, he doesn't do that, man. He knows how the media works. He's smart. And he gets that part of it. So I don't think it was an accident that he made those comments. Here is the interesting part of it to me. Let's say, for argument's sake, that everything he said, everything he wants comes true at some point in Missouri, that they are like elite NIL, top 5 in the country, whatever, spend as much money as anybody in the SEC. Because I think you might be able to argue Ole Miss does that. You know, I mean, I bet they're pretty close. So I think it is doable at Missouri. It's not doable at Missouri before he has to decide where he's coaching next year. Like, CEOs aren't all of a sudden calling Laird Veach in the next 4 days and going, "Hey man, hadn't thought about that, but saw Drink's comments. Like, here's $1.5 million." You know, like, it can happen, but Laird in the athletic department, like, they've been working on this stuff. You know, I don't think it's any surprise. I mean, shortly before he took the Missouri job, Laird lined up a huge deal with FedEx at Memphis. Now, FedEx and Memphis are a little more synonymous or in bed than maybe some of these companies in Missouri are. But my point is, Eli's going to have to decide what he's doing in the next 2 weeks. And like, I don't really think we're having two separate conversations, right? Like, the NIL stuff is related to the job conversation, because I think this is a decision he's going to have to make if it comes to that. If he has that opportunity, he's going to have to make this on faith. It's not like Laird is going to be able to walk into him and go, "Okay, our budget this year was 16 million, but now it's 26 million for next year." Like, he's going to either have to decide, I believe Missouri can get this done, or I don't. But I don't think he's going to have tangible proof of it beforehand.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the idea of this being a leap of faith, whether it's a leap of faith to stay at Missouri or a leap of faith to perhaps jump somewhere else where he maybe feels more confident for one reason or another. You know, because I think you and I have said, and the more that I start to just, you know, the more you're plugged into things, the more I continue to read about these things. Like, this is the hiring cycle. Like, if Drink is going to get out of Missouri, it will probably be this hiring cycle, just because of the number of openings that are available and the amount of movement that we are probably going to see. It's now, or he's going to commit to Missouri and be here for the long haul. And so that idea of that leap of faith, it cuts both ways. And so that decision, I think, will be really interesting, whether to go or stay. And his reasoning for that, I think, is something we'll all be glued to whenever he fully opens up about it.
So can I present to you the two issues I had with what he said on the NIL stuff? Okay, number one, I do not blame him for this. This is not his fault. This is the system he has. This is the system Kenny Dillingham works in. I understand that in college football, it is about how much money you can get. These coaches are simply doing what they have to do. At the same time, if I am a fan, and this is a Missouri fan, an Arizona State fan, a Michigan fan, I don't care. If I am a fan, part of me hears things like what Eli Drinkwitz said today, like what Kenny Dillingham said yesterday, and thinks, you just keep asking for my money. Like, I donate. I spend my time. I buy tickets. Now you want me to contribute to NIL. Now you want my business to contribute to NIL. Now you want me to do this. And like, they are asking so much of fans. And I'm not going to lie, a part of me really like struggles with guys who are making millions of dollars in a time where these fans are already probably spending a good amount of their expendable income to support the program, being asked every time they turn around for more. often without any more in return.
I understand your frustration there, and I would also understand like fans, if they haven't already voiced that frustration, I totally get it too, because it's like, what is the ROI, right? Like at this point in time, the best they can do is another 10-win season, and that would be great for the program, right? Be the third straight year. They've never done that. That's awesome. Not exactly what they've poured their money, time, energy into, right? Like they wanted this team to be one of the last 12 playing. And so I get that. At the same time, I think, he wants Missouri to compete with Texas and Alabama and Georgia and, Ohio State and Michigan. And maybe that's a little unrealistic because of how massive those brands are and because of the funding that those brands have. But those guys are doing the same thing. They're asking their fans to do the same thing. Kenny Dillingham is asking his fans to do the same thing. Like these guys, these coaches are almost fundraisers more so than they are coaches. Like to be the CEO of the CEO type coach of these college football programs, like that is almost a necessity now because of how big fundraising is just part of the job. Forming those business relationships is part of the job. Whether you're the head football coach or whether you're the AD of an athletic department that has a ton of, like how many sports does Ohio State have? Like all of those aren't funded just because super rich guys are diehard Ohio State fans. Like they had to form relationships throughout the athletic department to make sure all those programs get funded. And so, yeah, it seems like a big ask, and it is a big ask, but everybody around the country is doing it. So it's, like I don't necessarily blame Drink for having, to ask for more, to continue to ask for more, because that's the name of the game now. Every time Mizzou gets some, Texas also gets some. Georgia also gets some. Ohio State also gets some. Like that's the name of the game now. And that's probably a different conversation because that's a larger college football problem and a larger college sports problem. But that's the name of the game. And until the game changes, until there's actually somebody in charge of this thing, this is just kind of what it's going to be,
I have no issue with Eli Drinkwitz having or saying it. I have an issue with him having to say it. Like I have said this for years. They just keep asking fans. Like the comparison, and the people who are watching this have heard this comparison before. You have not, I think. Like it is like college sports stuck the fans in a cell. And originally they had a TV and bed and a sink and a toilet and toothpaste and all this stuff. And they just keep taking one thing away until eventually the fans are going to be sitting in the middle of the floor and they're going to go, come on, you're still going to support us, aren't you? And a lot of them will. Like, I get it. People say it's not sustainable, but I think it maybe is because these teams are so important to people that they will spend their money on it. But I hate that the people who are already spending so much money are being asked to spend more. Here's my other issue, and I thought about this afternoon. What Eli said isn't necessarily wrong, but it comes off a little like you have to have the most money to do this. Like the Los Angeles Dodgers just automatically win the World Series. I understand they've won the last two. They also were a pitch away from losing it this year. And that argument falls apart for me because what's the reason Missouri right now is not playing for a playoff spot?
Is the lack of execution in those key moments in some of those winnable games.
It's that they lost to Vanderbilt. You cannot tell me that the reason Vanderbilt is in position to make a playoff and the reason Missouri isn't is because Vanderbilt spent more money on the roster. I don't believe that.
I think what money does is it buys you. I shouldn't even say it buys. Obviously, it buys you players, but it also gives you the money to potentially retain those players, to potentially go buy more players, and also on top of that, to buy depth, right? And so you look at look at Ohio State last year. How many major injuries did they have? And they were able to slot the next dude in because they just had wicked depth that not a lot of people around the country could afford. Same thing with Penn State, who got to the semifinals. Same thing with Notre Dame, who got all the way to the title game. Same thing with Texas last year. How many NFL dudes were on that Texas roster last year? And they were able to make a push all the way through. I think what the money buys you depth, it buys you talent. But at the end of the day, you need to pair that money with coaching acumen to give yourself the opportunity. And while, yes, I think it's fair for Drink to ask for more money because everybody around college football is doing that, there is also the other component of making sure that you have the coaching acumen and the players execute when they do. And so it's you got to find a way to strike that balance. And so I thought Drink's comments were interesting about how they have been wise with their investments. And I agree with that. Look at that defensive line. It is sick nasty. Like Dayton Hopkins had 6 tackles the other day, and he's barely played at all this season, right? And that was against Mississippi State. And we can crack jokes about how Mississippi State is at the bottom of the SEC, but that's a pretty good team that have given a lot of other good teams fits. And he just walked right in and did the damn thing. And it was really impressive. And so that's what money gets you. Like money gets you some depth for other dudes to come in and continue to play. But then it also, and I think Drink, we've had this conversation too. Drink is not asking more money for himself. He's asking more money for assistant coaches. He's asking more money for these more players. And so that's all fine and good. What I think, and maybe this is where I'll probably agree with you in terms of that's a lot to ask of fans, is that maybe this asking for money wouldn't sound, I don't even think it sounds crazy, but maybe fans would be a little bit more receptive to it if they had been able to capitalize on the competitive opportunities on the field this season. Like if they'd have beaten Vanderbilt, if they'd have found a way to knock off Alabama, right? Because then it's like, there's your ROI. Missouri beat Alabama. There's your ROI. They still have a shot to win 10 games, right? Like not just 10 games like they do currently right now with the bowl game, but they still will have a shot at making the playoff, right? Like this game coming up this weekend against Oklahoma would have a whole different meaning if they were able to take care of business against Vandy or find a way to knock off Alabama. Like that's the intriguing thing about college football is like, yes, you need money. Then you also got to go execute on Saturdays, right? Like that's the fun little, that's the entire equation. You got to pair them both together.
And yes, I agree. Money helps, right? Most of the teams who spend the most money probably are making the playoff. But again, like Scott Fitz says, the Vanderbilt loss, you will not convince me Vanderbilt is spending more money on this roster than Missouri is. And I didn't say Indiana because Indiana's in the Big Ten, and that's a different deal. I didn't say Georgia Tech because I think Missouri would beat Georgia Tech. Vanderbilt is in the same league. And the reason Vanderbilt is in the running for this and the reason Missouri is not is because Vanderbilt won that football game. And that was yes, money helps. But Alabama, yes, Alabama may be spending more on this roster. I'm not 100% convinced they are, but maybe they are. But you were one play away from beating them. It wasn't like you not having. My point is, Missouri clearly has enough money to be there. They do. Do they want more? Sure. Would it help? Absolutely. But I think Missouri has enough money to be there because they were right there and failed to make 2 plays. So it's not as simple as if we have $10 million more, we'll be there.
Well, and I think this just popped into the chat too, as you were saying that, August Myers. But when we go to a 9-game conference schedule, NIL becomes more important. I think that's what Drink is looking at is look, 9 conference games is a heck of a lot different than 8 conference games. It sounds like it's just 1 game different, but it's huge. We've all seen who Missouri is going to play over the next 4 years and where they're going to play them. An extra chunk of money, an extra bag here and there to pull up, some depth or pull a star playmaker to help navigate that gnarly schedule. I think that's part of what Drink is maybe envisioning here. And so some people might take that as I need this to stay so that we can continue to play through this or, whatever the case may be. No logo shirt on Tiger Talk tonight. Thanks for reminding me. I need to go back and listen to that, Chuck. Appreciate you. I'm going to have a late night tonight, but that's I think that might also be part of the vision here is hey, we need a little bit more commitment because of the 9-game schedule coming up. Everybody saw who Missouri is going to play the next 4 years. Drop a few more bags so that we can grab a few more star players, right? That could be part of the messaging here.
Okay. So I want to address this and then I want to go from NIL to the actual job stuff. But Go Pack Go says if a cap happens, Mizzou wouldn't have trouble reaching it. So here's the deal. You can't cap NIL. It's like they would have you in court in 12 seconds. You can't cap NIL. The problem is what college football does is not NIL. It just isn't. We're going to pay 95% of people in the country, and that is probably low, do not know who Ahmad Hardy is. And he is Missouri's best player. College football fans know him. But like most people don't know, it is not NIL. There is no real, maybe in Missouri, there's an advantage to a company paying him. But like the number of college football players who it makes sense for a company to pay for their name, image, and likeness, like I could count it on my two hands at most.
Yeah.
And so you can't cap it, but what they are doing is not NIL. What they are doing is here's just the most money we can give you to come play football at our school, which whatever, it's fine, but nobody's honest about what it is.
Right. And that's where having somebody in charge to set a hard cap, to actually formulate like legitimate NIL regulation, like, so like you get what, $20 million in rev share, and then you can cap certain people when it comes to NIL payments. And at that point it gets kind of weird about how do you actually institute hard and fast rules when it comes to NIL. That's where things get a little interesting, but you need somebody in charge of this, because otherwise it's not going to change. Like it's going to be like this, and coaches are just going to continue year after year after year to ask for more money, because it'll come out that the national champs spent this amount. So then everybody's going to try to hit that amount. And that means those that are significantly less are going to be like, all right, we need more if we want to continue to do this. Right. It's going to be this never ending cycle.
Earlier, Drew King proposed that Cody be in charge of football. Now Bran Flake Cereal wants me in charge of college football. So I like Bran Flake Cereal better than Drew King. Bran Flakes, if you want to cover basketball on Thursday against South Dakota, let me know. There's an opening.
You better be careful. We're going to have to track Drew's plane to see what other 24/7 sites he's visiting because of what you just said right there.
There you go. So let's throw Scott Fitz at a super chat at the very beginning. Let's start with that because it kind of can transition into some of the job stuff. And I don't know if this question is about NIL money or salary money. I'll give Drink this. He's a master of the press conference. How much money are we talking here? Mizzou isn't Texas or Ohio State. He has to know that. And that's I don't know. I don't know what he's asking for. Because here's the thing about NIL, like it's all made up. I know there are people out there who like put out reports of here's what people are spending. I don't believe that those people know. I just don't.
There's not a spot track for rev share and for NIL spending. Like for those who don't know, Spot Track is this database where it keeps track of, for my purposes at least, NFL contracts. So exactly what everybody is making, base salaries, signing bonus, roster bonus, like all the details are laid out there. And I know it's not the only database out there, but it is one of the more prominent ones. And it's beautiful because agents use it, teams use it, players use it, like all that jazz. There's nothing like that for college football. Like we hear some numbers, like I think one of the more famous numbers is that the Duke quarterback who transferred, Duke spent $4 million, but we don't know whether that $4 million is all straight out of rev share, which we're talking Duke here. So like a good chunk of that 20.5 million or whatever it is probably going to the men's basketball program because Duke values men's basketball. So then how much is football getting? Is he getting 4 million straight out of that pool? Or is it 2 million out of this pool and 2 million in NIL? Is it 1 and 3, 3 and 1? We don't know. And that's where this NIL conversation is really weird. And I've really not waded into that all that much because we just don't know the numbers. And so it would be I always find it funny to talk about numbers like that because I never know context. I never know what numbers are. And until there is a database like that, it's just, we're all kind of guessing. It's all a bunch of conjecture. We just have no clue.
The number has been thrown out and it is now accepted as fact. And I have no idea if it's fact. The number has been thrown out that Bo Prabula got $1.5 million from Missouri. Is that for this year? Is that for 2 years? I don't know, but that makes a big difference. Is that number even right? I don't know, but people just have accepted it as fact. And I think if you are reporting these things, they're you have to have, you got to be able to show somehow that because otherwise I think it's irresponsible. We're just, like you said, I mean, we know what NFL players' salaries are. I know what Eli Drinkwitz's salary is because I can read his contract because he is employee of a state university. I do not know what Bo Prabula's contract says, or Matt Zoller's, or anybody else. And like, I don't frankly even believe people who say this is what this kid's getting, because everybody has a motive. Either they want to inflate the value or deflate the value, or make a program look bad or make a program look good. I just don't believe it. So I don't know how we know. That's the NIL part of this. I think that is it's tied a little bit. I do not think it's as simple as people want to make it. Drink laid out his demands. Like, Missouri is not a hostage here, and Drink is not holding them hostage. He is telling you the general parameters. It is not as simple as, if we get $8 million more, I will stay, and if we don't, I will leave. I don't believe that at all. It's not unrelated to the job stuff, but he knew the job stuff was coming, and he was going to address it before we even got there. So, Billy, I want you to do something for me. I want you to play the video that's titled Screen Recording first, and then I want you immediately after that to play the one titled Job Rumors. So, guys, just listen to Eli Drinkwitz. These are two different clips. They're going to take somewhere around 3 minutes.
About navigating coaching rumors and looking at opportunities as they pop up.
Well, I hate to make this comparison, but, the President of the United States always says fake news, and you don't really believe about it until you start seeing it about yourself a lot. There's a lot of fake news and a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff going on out there. Our focus this week was trying to be 1-0, and my family and I love it here. We're very excited about what we're doing here at App State, but at the same time, every opportunity, I owe it to my family, to see if that's something that we're interested in. But I'm not in any hurry to leave. I feel strongly that we're building something special here that can be sustained for a long periods of time. So when it refers to me, I would prefer for it to be about this players, this team, and what we've accomplished. And when all that stuff plays out, then we'll answer the questions as it plays out, and I'll be up front with everybody. But right now, there's nothing to it.
I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand. Last week, people were tired of me because I couldn't win the big game. People had me meeting with my team and telling them that I was going to another school, none of which were true. Now this week it's a different story because we scored the second most points in the SEC this year at 49. So, all of this stuff is just a distraction. I would like to remind everybody, including our fans, we absolutely love Mizzou. We love what we're building. We've been to 6 straight bowl games. We've got the sellout streak going. Our administration has been nothing but phenomenal to me. The alignment that we have with our president, President Choi, his support for our program, his support in what we're trying to build. Todd Graves, the head of the Board of Curators, has been tremendous since he started on the board and is always looking for ways to improve our athletic department. Bob Blitz has been a guy that was instrumental in rebuilding the north end zone and being on the forefront of the athletics committee. Laird Beach has been great to work with on a day-to-day basis. Since I've been here, I've signed multiple extensions. In fact, I signed one this past summer. So all the speculation is really a tribute to them, and it's a tribute to our team's success and their commitment to our team. And that's where my focus is going to remain on our team and our current situation, and I'm not going to get into all that stuff because, again, it's just a distraction.
All right, so I did that way for a reason. If you are watching on YouTube, you know what happened there, because in the first video, Eli Drinkwitz had an Appalachian State vest on, and in the second video, he was standing in front of Mizzou logos. If you are listening on the podcast, you may not know those were two different things. The first one was in 2019, 24 hours before Eli Drinkwitz was named the Missouri head coach. The second one was today. That is not, I cannot be more clear about this. That is not me saying Eli Drinkwitz is leaving. That is not me calling Eli Drinkwitz a liar. None of it. Eli Drinkwitz said the only thing he could say about job speculation today. He did not paint himself into a corner. If you believed on Tuesday morning that Eli Drinkwitz is staying at Missouri, you believe that now. If you believed on Tuesday morning he is leaving, you believe that now, because he did not say anything that indicates one way or another. The weird thing about coaching is, look, this is his job. This is going to be his job for a minimum of 10 more days. And he is going to do this job up until the very second it is not his job, whether that is in 10 days or 10 years. But nothing he was going to say today should make you feel any better or worse about him staying. Do you disagree?
No, I think that's fair, that we just, until he says outright that I'm staying, or until he says outright that I'm not, like, it's just kind of like what's the term you use? It's all a bunch of noise. I will say the one distinct difference, and there's a caveat that comes with it. The one distinct difference is during the App State presser, he said specifically, maybe not specifically, but I'm paraphrasing here, that he owes it to his family to explore other opportunities if it makes sense. Yeah. He has not said that at Missouri. I think the caveat with that is that maybe he's grown up a little bit. I know that a lot of people know that he's media savvy now, so that could be under, his agent saying, hey, say what you want, but maybe don't say this line, right? So
I think the caveat is, when you're the App State coach, everybody knows you have to listen. When you're the Missouri coach, you don't necessarily have to listen. You're coaching in the Sun Belt versus coaching in the SEC. So, I don't think nobody at App State is going to get mad at Drink. Everybody is going to understand if he listens to Missouri, Ole Miss, Boston College, Arkansas, whoever else was calling him at that point. This is a little different. You are a sitting Power 4 head coach. Also, there's 2 weeks left in the season. We'll see. Maybe when you guys talk to him after the Arkansas game, maybe he'll say that line. I don't think he will, but maybe he will. And again, I promise I'm not my only point is, there was nothing, like you said, until he comes out and says I'm staying. Had he said that today, nothing precludes him from taking another job in 2 weeks. Nick Saban said he was not going to Alabama. Roy Williams said he did not give a shit about North Carolina. It really doesn't. And I do give Drink credit for not saying something like that, because it would have painted him into a corner. So now, if he takes another job in 2 weeks, nobody can say he lied to them. He didn't lie.
Yeah, well, and I think of Georgia Tech's Brent Key, right, where somebody asked him, because his name, similar to Drinkwitz, has popped up on a lot of different coaching lists, and he's like, cut me open.
Ain't going away.
Right. He said, cut me open. What colors do I bleed? If that dude leaves for another job, that's going to be in the first paragraph or two of every single story that gets written, and it will not be looked on as kindly down in Atlanta. So sometimes it's best to just not say things like that at all. So I'll give Drink a lot of credit. And so the difference between App State Drink and Missouri Drink, he's probably learned how to play the game a little bit.
Yeah. And Eli Drinkwitz is, and I don't know if I wrote this in my column for tomorrow or if I already wrote it today. Every day just is the same now. But he is smarter than the vast majority of football coaches, and he is better behind a microphone than the vast majority of football coaches. I will say this. I like how he's handling this better than I like how Lane Kiffin's handling this. Now, I do understand the difference. Lane Kiffin, everybody knows Lane Kiffin has 2 job offers. We don't know if Eli Drinkwitz has any. So that is a difference, but I still like it better.
Also, I think Drink has done a good job, and it just could be the nature of, where he's at on the coaching pedestal or hierarchy, so to speak. But Lane was doing pretty well until late last week. That's when it really got away from him.
I would say he was doing pretty well until yesterday, when it became known that his family was in Gainesville and Baton Rouge.
Well, and I think, I guess I think back to this weekend because, who was it? Neil wrote that column that was like, hey, like Lane, the only thing Lane hasn't said is the one thing that would make Ole Miss feel better. And now it seems like, I don't know that Ole Miss has given him an ultimatum, but they at the very least want clarity about where he's at. And that's where everything seems to have unraveled. You know what's really weird that I noticed as kind of a weird media aside? There's a lot of people at a lot of these SEC schools that really like to talk. And so I maybe give Drink a little bit of credit for maybe keeping the entire operation in-house and out-of-house under lock and key. I'll give him that.
Missouri used to be that way. A lot of people used to love to talk at Missouri. Since Moon Choi got here, a lot fewer people like to talk at Missouri, which is unfortunate for us, but probably better for the operation as a whole. Scott Fitz brings up the point. He also has to get hired somewhere. So I was talking to somebody about this earlier. I don't know if Eli Drinkwitz is number one on anybody's list as we sit here today. There are enough openings that I believe he will get to number one on at least someone's list. I believe if Eli Drinkwitz wants to leave Missouri after this season, he will likely have that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to what we've been saying, that if this is probably the cycle that he goes, if he goes. If he doesn't, I think Missouri fans can settle in with this guy for the long haul, because I'm just like, I don't know when, and college football is funny, right? Like we could see 20 more openings next offseason. Like that's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. But like as many Power 4 jobs, and one of them got filled this week, right? With James Franklin and Virginia Tech formally finalizing a deal. So that's one off the list. I'm not sure I don't know that Drink was ever maybe really associated with Virginia Tech, but that's at least a Power 4 job off the table that Missouri no longer has to worry about. So that's, like, I don't know when there's going to be this many Power 4 jobs available. And so, we could be having the same conversation next offseason, but I would like to think that given the number of Power 4 jobs, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten, I guess it's mostly just Penn State since Wisconsin's hanging on to Fickle, but if Missouri can hang on to him now, I believe they'll hang on to him for the long haul.
Well, and like you said, it's the domino effect too. It's okay if Lane goes, well, that creates another SEC opening, and then who's interested in that? And is like most of these schools, like you see the same names on every hot board, right? So they can't all be hired. They can't all hire who they want. So some of them are going to get to their second and third choice, and may already have gotten to their second and third choices, which is why I believe he will have the opportunity. Like you said, part of the reason I think he's here for the long haul is not only the number of jobs, but like there's no guarantee that he is this popular or attractive a candidate a year from now. Maybe he will be. Maybe Missouri's going 10-2 next year, and everybody will want to hire him. Maybe they go 6-6, and other schools are like, well, maybe we liked you a little more last year. You were hotter last year. You put on some weight this year. We don't like you.
Yeah, I mean, given the nature of college football, like we could be talking about another 10 Power 4 job openings next season. Like we just, this sport is so volatile that way that you never know. One off season, there's no openings. The next off season, it makes up for the fact that there were no openings the year before. So it's just, got to ride the wave.
Yeah, Scott Fitz, I'd argue there's only 3 schools worth leaving Mizzou for, though: LSU, Penn State, Florida. Like, Auburn is in the conversation. And I wouldn't touch the Auburn job with the 10-foot pole. It's the craziest place in college football. But I'm not the one who has the option. So I think Auburn at least has to be in the conversation of possible. I am not saying likely. I'm not saying it's a better job than Missouri. I just think it is in the conversation of possible. I mean, I thought he handled it the way we expected he would handle it, and the only way he really could handle it.
Yeah, no, I'll give him credit. He's not usually as candid as he was today about these topics specifically. Like he was very blunt with us, I thought, and he was very forthcoming about what I guess the conversation he had with Tom Hart in their pre-production meeting, the conversations that they had, what he meant by that. He clarified a lot of follow-ups that we had for him today. And so, when he talks like that and he has, forthcomingness about him, like it makes me sit up in my chair a little bit, because it's like, okay, like you have my attention. I am listening. What are you saying? What exactly do I need to be listening for right now?
And I'll say this, like, it's why I like covering Eli Drinkwitz. I don't want him to go anywhere. He's great to cover. I hope he is the Missouri coach for years and years, which is hilarious because 3 years ago, people thought I had some personal vendetta against him. I just didn't know if he was good enough to win games here. Now he is, and I'm on board. He's fun to cover because, like, people say all the time, like, you're scared to lose access or you don't want to get yelled at. They don't ask the tough questions. Like, Eli Drinkwitz doesn't mind the tough questions, man. I think he respects them. I think he actually likes them more than the, normal bullshit he usually gets of, like, how cool is it to be out there with your team? Like, ask a real question. He actually respects it. And if he respects the way you ask it and the way you do your job, like, I'll be honest, I think he was surprised not to have gotten those questions before today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody asked him about Bo at the end of the game, or I guess after the game last week. Saturday. And so he was just like, we'll worry about that later. And then again, to give Drink a little bit of credit, like his opening statement was like, 5-6 minutes long, because he addressed the comments that Hart made. And he also touched on Bo. And we had follow-ups specifically about Bo, about the comments, what he's looking for, what he meant by that, this, that, and the next. And so, like, I give him a lot of credit for answering a lot of those questions. And yeah, like I'm less than a full year into covering him. And I appreciate his press conferences, because I've sat through a number of press conferences where coaches just don't say anything, right? Or I've also sat through press conferences with Nick Saban where he lights into a student reporter for asking, a hypothetical. And if you know anything about Nick Saban, don't ask him a hypothetical question. Also, everybody drink, because I mentioned that I covered Alabama.
There you go. All right. I want to get to questions in the chat. I know we've got some of them starred, and we'll get to them in just a second. Do want to remind you, like, never a more apropos moment to say that James Carlton is a supporter of Mizzou football and Mizzou's NIL efforts. Specifically worked with, I believe, Josiah Trotter and Kevin Coleman this year. So if you would like to help James out so that James has a little more money to do NIL deals with Mizzou football players so that Eli Drinkwitz is your football coach going forward, you making James Carlton your State Farm insurance agent may actually be the sole reason Eli Drinkwitz stays at Missouri. I'm just going to say that. It's the best advertisement I could give him. CarltonInsurance.net, 314-961-4800. Cody, you have a point you want to make.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Josiah Trotter. I would like to start the movement of calling him Jumpman. They called his dad Axeman, but like Josiah Trotter had another play in this past game where he jumped over his blocker. So, like, can we call him Jumpman? Like, I think that needs to be his nickname.
Is Jumpman trademarked? Is that legal? Feels like maybe it would be.
Air Jordan is, I know the Jumpman logo might be, but
okay. Yeah. I mean,
let me look this up.
I don't think Michael Jordan is going to sue PowerMizzou.com, but
So Jumpman, one word, Jumpman logo is a trademark owned by Nike to promote the Air Jordan brand, but Jumpman, two different words, capital J, capital M. I think that's available.
Or we could put a little hyphen in there.
Jump-man.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just saying, he jumps more than the average linebacker, and he's better than the average linebacker. So, like, let's just like jump on it, No pun intended.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had another play like that last weekend because he wasn't really out there very long.
No, it was probably, I think it was sometime in the first quarter. They had Mississippi State backed up, and he just flew into the frame. And I'm just like, here we go again.
All right, Billy, let's start getting to some of the questions in the chat because we're already at 45 minutes, and I want to make sure we answer everything. For when you talk ball, how much are you interested in the game on Saturday? If they win, I'm satisfied with the season. That's from Ron Davis. Appreciate it. Look, it's an interesting game because, I mean, I have jokingly told people my prediction for this game is Oklahoma some and Missouri none. Because I'm not really sure how Missouri scores in this game. But the good news is Oklahoma's not going to score enough to like run away from you either.
Yeah, I mean, your best bet in this game is probably, I mean, to answer Ron's question, I'm very interested in this game because I'm just a ball nerd. But I think the path for Missouri is a rock fight. Like you gotta like, and they've done well containing mobile quarterbacks, right? And that's basically what John Mateer is, even like to the nth degree, because like that offense just kind of runs through him, like for better and for worse. And so like when he's on, it's great. When he's off, it's a little bit of a struggle. And so now he's got to face a defense that's very good against mobile quarterbacks. He's got to throw against a secondary that's been pretty good. Trotter will be there. Nate Johnson will be there. So they're going to be at full strength. Missouri's defense will be. Kitchen will be back. So that'll help things when it comes to depth. And like the offensive line has had some issues. So like there is the potential for a rock fight. There's also the potential that good John Mateer shows up and they put up 17 points in the first half and we're writing our game stories in the third quarter. Like that is entirely a possibility, because I think what interests me more here is how is Missouri going to move the ball? Because we're still under the presumption that it's Matt Zollers at quarterback, which is great because he's probably going to chuck it deep 40 times again. And that's fine. But also Oklahoma's pass rush and just defense in general resembles a brick wall more often than not. So it's like, good luck, kid. Like, let's see what you can do. And maybe you hit on a few deep shots that you didn't hit on against Texas A&M, and maybe this thing gets interesting. But I think their best bet is to turn it into a rock fight, and Ahmad Hardy is going to have to probably break approximately 400 tackles.
Yeah.
Also, Missouri is back in the college football playoff rankings for those who are interested.
Oh, where at?
Number 22.
Okay, there you go. Oklahoma's averaging giving up 2.48 yards per carry this year. It is the second lowest total in college football. I have a hard time seeing Missouri handing the ball to Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts 35 times and winning this football game with that alone. As someone astutely pointed out on our message board, we are going to have to pass the football to win. Yes, I believe that forward passes will be an integral part of being able to win this game.
Yeah, they're going to have to throw it a little bit.
Javon, can we play both quarterbacks? So you were talking about Drink being, forthcoming. The comment I was most surprised about, like I asked him at the end, hey, when Bo comes back, whether that's this week or down the road, like how do you handle the rotation? And he was unequivocal. Bo's our starter, and like I think if we watched the last two games, we kind of knew that, but I thought it was pretty interesting that he just flat out said, no, if Bo's healthy, he's starting the football game.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I think it also makes a little bit of sense, just what we've seen from Zollers. Like the talent is obvious, but also like he could still use just a few. I think he needs some more reps against FCS Central Arkansas and Louisiana and UMass. And like he needs
maybe a spring practice.
Maybe a spring practice. Yeah. And so, or at least a full go of spring practice. And so like he needs some more reps. He needs some more practice. You can, I guess, to the idea that can they play both, that would be very intriguing to me. And so I wonder, I don't know, like what would you peg the odds at maybe them playing both on Saturday?
See, I thought about that. If Bo starts, I don't think they're very good because, like, Zollers isn't a change of pace. Like, I'm not putting him in there when it's like, oh, hey, we know we need to throw and letting OUT off on him. The situation where I could see them playing both is if Zollers does get the start, but Bo is not ruled out, and, like, there are just a couple of packages for Bo. Where maybe you're emphasizing the run game or I don't know how safe it is to put that kid out there against OU's defense 3 weeks after a dislocated ankle, but I've got to trust Eli Drinkwitz that he's only putting him out there if the doctors have said he can play. So if he can play, he can run the football. So the only way I really see playing both is if Zoller starts and Bo they don't feel like healthy enough to start and take on a full game load, but maybe could give you 10 or 15 snaps in certain situations.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wonder if it's one of those things where he's probably going to be questionable all week. And so game time decision, probably Saturday morning, one of those things where like, do you try him for a drive or two, see how he feels? And if it's a no-go, you throw Zollers back out there, but then maybe if he feels fine, maybe you play him through the end of the first quarter and see how he feels, or play him through halftime and see how he feels.
Yeah. But The only way I think if Bo starts, you're not necessarily planning to play both quarterbacks, right? You only do it if it becomes a necessity. If Zoller starts, I can see a way where you end up playing them both. Scott Harrison, on Saturday, you said whether we should expect more from the program is a conversation for another show. So can we have that now? Why not, man? We're only 51 minutes in. Let's do it. So here's my opinion on it. Should you hope for more from this program than you've gotten lately? Absolutely. Should you want it? Should it be your goal? Is it possible? The answer to all of those is yes. This is where we get into what words mean. Should you expect more? In my opinion, no. Like you've literally never gotten more in our life. The only more thing you've gotten is that Gary Pinkel won division titles and Eli Drinkwitz hasn't. So if you want to say that Gary Pinkel was a half step above what Eli Drinkwitz has done so far, I'm okay with that. Like Gary Pinkel's 2007 and 2013 regular season was better than Drinkwitz's 2023 in that Pinkel won the equivalent of the LSU game in those seasons, and he won a division title. So I can say it's a half step better. But like Eli Drinkwitz is no more than that behind what Gary Pinkel did, which is the best this program has been in 50 years. So hope for more, think more is possible. I think expecting more is not really reasonable.
I think it comes down to how you define goals versus expectations. Like goals are, aspirations, what you want to ultimately achieve. Expectations to me is like the floor. Like this is the baseline for what we should be doing year in and year out. And so I guess like the idea of Missouri expecting to be in the playoff, like I think it's one thing to expect to contend for the playoff. It's another thing to expect to be in the playoff. And like, yes, I know if the 2023 season had been a 12-team playoff, Missouri would have been in. But it wasn't. And so they didn't get in.
And it's not the expectation.
Right. Like that's the playoff the playoff is a goal for Missouri. The expectation should be probably 8-9 wins, you think, on a regular basis?
Yeah, and I've said over and over, like let's say they lose to Oklahoma and they beat Arkansas, which is what most people expect will happen. If your down year is 8-4 in the SEC with a third string quarterback and a third string kicker, your program is in a damn good spot. Like if this is the down year, that's pretty good. So goals versus expectations. I want you to just start naming the programs that should expect more often than not to be in the college football playoff. Just start naming them and we'll see how many you get.
Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. I'd probably stop at those three, to be quite honest, just given the nature of college football.
I would say Oregon.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'll light on that. I think the expectation for that was, this isn't fair because they've never been there, but like the expectation for Texas Tech was to be in the college football playoff this season, just because of how much money was funneled into that program.
That is this season. That is not ever. Like the four programs we just named, I think should expect to be, like, if you don't get there, it was not a good year. Is that fair?
Yes, I think that's fair.
I would put then Texas, Penn State, maybe like Clemson. I don't know if that's fair anymore, but maybe Clemson.
Nah.
And you can maybe find one or two more that like shouldn't expect to be there every year, but should expect to get there on a somewhat regular basis.
Yeah, I think that's where like Michigan, Clemson-ish, Texas,
Miami, maybe.
Yeah, I mean Tennessee got in last year, so maybe
LSU I think should.
LSU's probably falls into that. Like I'm trying to jog my memory on like the national
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah, until they join a conference, they should. I think the expectation is
Notre Dame's in that first group. If they don't make it, it's a bad year. But the point is, I think there are 10 programs where you can say max 10 programs where you can say we expect the college football playoff, and that number is probably high.
But I think it's fair, honestly. Like that's, and not all 10 of those are going to get in every single year, right? Just because of the nature of the beast, and with SEC going to a 9-game schedule, like there's going to be a lot of good SEC programs that like a down year is going to be 9-3 or 8-4, and they miss the playoff. Like that's going to be what happens. So I think anywhere from 8 to 10 teams makes sense when it comes to expecting to be in the playoff every year.
Right. So point being, can it be your goal? Absolutely. Should you expect that Missouri football is going to be better than it's been in the last 3 years? I'll steal a line from Drinkwitz. I can't manage your expectations. But like if you expect more than this, what you're doing is setting yourself up to be angry. Because it's been pretty damn good. And that is not saying Missouri can't get there. Everybody wants to take that next step. Nobody wants to take it more than Eli Drinkwitz. But the difference between goals and expectations, like we write for a living, words have meaning. They are important. That's the difference between goals and expectations.
Yeah. And it's kind of like I said on Saturday night, like it's okay to really be like frustrated with the fact that the goal was the playoff this year and your team didn't get there. Right. And you had a significant financial time, energy, commitment into this team this year, right? And like you wanted to see this team get over the top for whatever your reason is. And so the fact that they didn't get there, it's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be frustrated. And as much as Gabe and I may not always want to relitigate the Vanderbilt game or relitigate the Alabama game, like we understand why you guys are going to chime in with the comments every time Ahmad Hardy runs for 300 yards. Why didn't he get it on 3rd and 4th and goal against Vanderbilt, right? Like we get it. We totally understand. That's the beauty of being a fan. But I would caution you guys, goals versus expectations when it comes to your team, not to tell you how to be a fan, because like I've said over and over again, I'm never going to tell you guys how to be a fan, but I would like to maybe help you be smarter fans, better fans, It
is fair to be absolutely fair to be upset, but also important to take a step back and understand why things happen.
Yes. Well, that's where you and I come in. We're going to come in and explain why, 3 guys didn't block their guy and now Bo has a broken ankle as a result. Like that's why they didn't get in the playoff this year. So that's
when I get accused of being a hater, man. So
we don't need help. We just want info. I got you guys.
Billy, we got more questions. I haven't been following along. If we've got more questions, throw them up there. Maybe we've covered them all. I don't know. I'm pretty impressed we got through the goals and expectations conversation in 8.5 minutes. That's honestly well done on our part. So we didn't talk much about Saturday, to be honest. Here we go. We've got more. I think Billy Parisi, when will we start to see coaches take less money for more NIL? So here's the hard part about that. All coaches taking less money means is more revenue sharing. The schools can't pay the NIL. This goes back to they're begging you to pay what they should be paying. So if a coach takes less, then sure, $2 million or $5 million can go back into the school's revenue sharing, and they have more money to do things. But what they cannot do with that is directly pay NIL. Missouri is already maxing out the revenue sharing amount it can spend. So why should Eli Drinkwitz give up money? They've already got that money, man. Like him giving up money is just him giving up money.
This is me being a smartass, but the last coach to take less money or take part of his check and pour it into his school's NIL fund just got fired.
Who was that?
Brian Kelly. So,
oh yes, known philanthropist and great man, Brian Kelly.
He was really excited to be down there for LSU and try to build a championship program, don't you know?
Okay. Phil, is there a reason for you to attend the curators meeting this week? I have been told no. I have no expectation that there is going to be an announcement of and I thought Drink's statement today, like, hey, I've signed 3 extensions since I don't know that what he's looking for is a contract extension. I'm not sure he needs, I don't know that he needs one because what he wants are not things that can necessarily be written into a contract.
Yeah, like he's looking for commitment from others outside of the program to commit to his program, to commit to his players. It's a tricky situation. And so like that's where the next 11 days are very, very interesting, right? Just like what can happen in the next 11 days. Is it enough to make him want to stay? Is it enough to deter other schools? I don't know. There's so much about this situation that is just so intriguing because of the unknown.
Danny, how has the NFL managed to keep the owners from or keep it from getting leaked that they're paying athletes under the table to avoid? I don't know enough about the NFL. I'm not saying, I'm sure it's probably happening, but.
Well, I mean, most players also have their like off the field, marketing, whatever deals that they have. Like Patrick Mahomes is in every State Farm commercial now, and Travis Kelce does a bunch of other stuff. And those are just the Chiefs players. Like there's NFL players all over like Gatorade and Adidas and stuff like that. That's another Patrick Mahomes reference. However, what the NFL does, that college football needs. The NFL has leadership from the top. They do scheduling, they do communications, they make sure that everybody is in a straight order. They institute a salary cap. And those are like college football needs a leader. College football needs somebody like the NCAA is not running college football. Like it's just not. Like, and if you think it is, get your head out of the ground because this is welcome to 2025. Like college football does not currently have somebody in charge making decisions to try and level the playing field when it comes to scheduling, to try and level the playing field when it comes to revenue sharing and where the money goes and how the money gets in. That's what college football needs. Like the NFL has a commissioner. College football needs a commissioner. No, it's not going to be me. I would personally vote for Nick Saban if I had a vote. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate you. But like that's what college football needs. It needs some leadership. It needs some direction. It needs somebody to guide it through this uncertain time period if we want to level the playing field. Now, some can make the argument that college football has never been a level playing field. And I will listen to you on that because that's true. The haves have always had and the have-nots have always not had. And so do we want to change that? How much can we change that? Is there like when the Big Ten and SEC take their biggest brands and they split off to become the Super League? Like, are they going to have a commissioner? What does that mean for the remaining 90 some schools? I have no idea. Like nobody's in charge of anything. So literally anything can happen.
Bran Flake Cereal nominated me, so I have a vote. I would like to say if nominated, I will not run. And if elected, I will not serve. Trevor wants to know if it's possible for Zollers to retain his red shirt. I mean, he's played in 8 games this year, so no, he could redshirt next year theoretically, but he cannot redshirt this year. All right, so Billy, I want to finish up with a couple of the starred comments. I want to go to Tiercel's question. In there, it says, "Is he laying out his argument for leaving?" So here is today's press conference was one of 2 things. It was either, here's what I need to stay, and he's going to tell you in 2 weeks he believes Missouri can do all of those things, or he just told you why in 2 weeks he's going to be announced as the head coach somewhere else. And you're going to look back at today and go, I probably should have realized it then. And I don't know which one is more likely, but it is one or the other. There is no in between. He either gave you the reasons he's staying or the reasons he's leaving. And it's one of the 2.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And that's like, again, like if he's not here, wherever he gets hired, you and I will be listening to the press conference to see what he says about why he took that job and why he
will
left
say
Missouri.
all the same things he has said about here for 6 years. Like
he'll say,
I remember I covered Mike Anderson's introductory press conference, and he said they were going to start out playing 15 minutes of hell and 25 minutes of what the hell. And he was talking about fighting bears. And man, we thought it was great. And then I watched Mike Anderson take 3 other jobs, and he said the same thing at all 3 of them. So like they've all got their go-tos. All right. So intentionally save this one for last. Billy, can you put Jason Franken's question on the screen, please? It is right above the one we were just answering. What is more annoying, a coaching search over Thanksgiving or getting a colonoscopy the day after Thanksgiving? like that is the worst day of the year to get a colonoscopy. I can't imagine why anyone, because you cannot eat for 24 hours. It might be 48. You can't eat anything for 24 hours before you. Why would you make that appointment for the day after Thanksgiving, man?
Yeah. So like, well, are you going to have Thanksgiving on Friday? Like when you get done with your appointment? I'm assuming your appointment's in the morning because I've never heard of a colonoscopy being at any other time other than the morning. So like, why don't you like, I'm assuming you're just kicking everything back a day so that you can really enjoy yourself after what we hope is a positive checkup, right?
Because I'll tell you what, if you have Thanksgiving a day early and you're doing the cleanse the day after you ate Thanksgiving dinner, ooh, that's going to be a bad scene at Jason's house, man.
Woo! Ooh, I don't know. That's what's more annoying. Honestly, they're both a little annoying, but like at least one of them I can eat during. Like I can eat during a coaching search. So
yeah, there's no question which one of those things is worse. Having recently undergone said procedure, the happiest I've been all year is when I got the call that was like, "Yeah, you're good. We'll see you in 10 years." That was the greatest call I've received in a long time. And the day after, like Jason, man, I'm sure you're a good dude, and I'm sure you make a lot of good decisions in your life, but doing that the day after surely there's another opening, man. You got to call and get that changed. You can't do that the day after Thanksgiving.
In a key high leverage situation, you botched the execution here, man. Yeah. Are we watching Missouri football right now with this comment? I'm really confused.
That was Jason. That's an error, man. I hope I hope the follow up is. I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about a friend. You don't know him. He goes to another school. You know. So, I don't really feel like after that there's anywhere to go, man. I feel like that is the sign that we are officially done here.
Does that mean we officially boxed out Drew, or does he have to come up and follow this question?
I told Drew earlier there was enough stuff going on that I told him he was free. He said he would be watching, and he's nominating you for office in college football. But I told him he did not actually have to come on the show tonight because I knew there was enough football stuff that, frankly, man, Prairie View A&M just we can push that one back and not talk a lot about that one. It'll be okay.
Do we at least know what the mascot for Prairie View A&M is?
I watched the game last night, so I should. I'm going to guess Panthers. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
It's the Prairie View A&M Panthers. Congratulations.
All right. I'm glad it should be the Dogs, though, clearly. I should also be in charge of naming teams in schools. So, all right, guys, I think we're good. Hour and 10 minutes. We solved nothing, but we gave you a lot of thoughts and feelings. I will have a column up tomorrow morning on the Drinkwitz stuff. Cody is going to have all kinds of stuff from Media Day. We've got coverage all week. Tomorrow afternoon going to do a podcast with Colin Kennedy here on the channel previewing Mizzou, Oklahoma. We are still covering a football game. Cody's going down to Norman on Friday, and we will be live. He will be live from Gaylord Family Stadium Saturday afternoon. Have you ever been to OU?
Yeah, I was down there last season.
Last year.
Everybody drank. I was down there when Oklahoma ended Alabama's season. So that's I've been to the Palace on the Prairie, as they refer to it. I also got to watch a wrestling duel before the football game that day. So that was really fun.
Okay. They may have ended Alabama's season again. That remains to be seen. They didn't end it, but
no, Auburn's going to do that at Jordan-Hare. So
there's a decent chance of it. So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for Cody for making sure Drew had the night off. And thanks to Billy for pushing the buttons and making us look decent. Whether you think we look decent or not, whatever. Appreciate it. Thanks to James Carlton. Once again, get in touch with James, 314-961-4800. CarltonInsurance.net if you live in Kansas, Missouri, or Illinois. He wants to be your insurance agent, and he wants to make sure Eli Drinkwitz remains the head coach at Missouri. We'll talk to you next time.